Hello, Adalo Maker community. This is Jason and Kyle back for another video. And I think this one's going to be really fun because we're going to build an app with Adalo. So in the past videos we've done, we've covered tips, tricks, we've covered performance related topics, things like that. But at some point, the rubber has to meet the road, right? And we want to build something, and furthermore, we want to build and deploy something. So what we're going to do in this first of a series of videos in which we do live builds, we're going to build an app for something called a number station. And if you have ever read up about espionage and spies and things like that, you might have heard of this concept of a number station. And why are we building this? This probably sounds pretty off the wall. We're building this because I run a little, I'll call it side business slash art project slash hobby called SpiesInDC. And what SpiesInDC is, kind of like these box delivery services, right? SpiesInDC is a Cold War history, I'll say box, but it's actually a manila envelope that is delivered to your mailbox every few weeks. And each package, there's 6 in total, includes historical reproductions of Cold War related documents, Cold War related speeches, and you also, along the way, subscribers receive fun things like Harry Truman stamps in the first package. And here's the cool super secret. This is an example of a super secret espionage related folder that you receive, things like that. So
Jason, this also
yes,
sounds like a way for you to connect to your not spy friends, but maybe your spy friends.
correct,
That may be a
correct.
different video.
That's exactly right. And it also gives me a fun way to continue indulging in my now, I guess, decades long stamp collecting hobby, right? So because of the stamp tie-in, each well, not I think every package except for one includes at least one stamp. So it's a very fun way to keep that hobby going. Anyway, so what we thought we would do is build a numbers station app for subscribers. So what's a number station? A number station is a radio broadcast, and these have been going on for decades now, which broadcasts a series of numbers over the airwaves according to some schedule. And the idea is that a spy who is residing in, I suppose, enemy territory uses what's called a one-time pad to decode the numbers that are being read out. So like 1, 2, 9, 7. And those numbers correspond to a letter. And then each broadcast has a different mapping of number to letter, right? So believe it or not, these are still active today. And you can see this website. I've just known about this. I don't know who runs it. It's called preom.org, if I'm saying that right. They track all of the live number stations. So this was a big thing during the Cold War, but they're actually still going on today. And if we click over to the English language ones, they actually have some recordings. And I don't remember the history of this specifically, but the Lincolnshire Poacher, as it's called, number station, was one of the, I guess, better known number stations over the years. And if I click this little play button, you're probably not hearing that. You didn't hear
We
it.
can hear that, Jason.
Oh, great. I'll go ahead and hit play. Turn down my volume. So 39715 must correspond to some message or action or some bit of news that I guess a spy or spies need to know. And so what I thought it would be fun to do is build a number station for 2025, I guess, which would be done via an app, right? And subscribers will, in one of the packages, they'll receive a secret one-time pad that maps letters to numbers. Then they'll open up the number station and press play, I guess. Haven't thought too far in advance here. And numbers will get read out, and they'll do the decoding, and then it'll be like they're a spy out in secret agent territory. Kyle, what do you think about this perhaps off the wall idea for building an Adalo app?
I think it's really unique. I think it can be done really simply. Um, Sometimes when you think about building an app, you think, man, this is going to be a 6-month project for me just to get this anywhere close to shareable. But with Adalo, this is a 3 to 4 hour max project, and you may spend most of your time getting the content for your number project as opposed to actually building an Adalo to have it deployable to anybody you want.
Yeah, this one seems certainly relatively straightforward, at least in relation to some of the more wildly complicated 100+ screens Adalo apps that we see out in the wild. There's another reason why we thought it would be useful to start out by building one of these simple apps, and that is because Adalo has actually started a new service. I'm not even sure we're actively promoting it yet, but it's definitely live, where we are building B2B apps on behalf of customers, right? And Kyle's been leading this effort. Kyle's definitely the resident app building expert here at Adalo. So what we thought would be cool is to treat this little project like we were doing a build for a customer, right? A build for an Adalo maker. And so what we're going to do is start at the very beginning. We don't have an app in place. We haven't even created the new project. And what we're going to do over probably what's going to become 2 videos is we're going to create the app. It's going to be a PWA. We're going to update DNS, and we're going to then, of course, deploy it and make it available for anybody who wants to play with it. So, Kyle, I'm the B2B client here. I've pitched this idea. What would be step one in terms of requirements gathering? Like how should we go about doing this?
One of the first questions I always ask is, where is your data right now that you're wanting to share with your community or your customers? Because that will let me know when I'm starting to build an app, do I need to connect to an external data source, or are we going to start fresh in Adalo? So where do you think your numbers for your number station is going to live?
This is a great question, and I think I really like how this first project is relatively simple, because I don't think at this point even going to involve something like Adalo collections necessarily, maybe in the future. But I think the lone data source to start would be the audio recording itself, right? Because the secret agents who subscribe to the service, they're going to receive like a little piece of paper that has the A is 1, B, or 7 is B, 9 is S mapping.
Mhm.
And then they'll go to the app, and I suppose they'll press play. And then there's going to be this recording that reads off the numbers, and then they'll do the mapping and decode the secret message, right? So I guess the recording would be the data in this case.
Okay, great. And then do you have a design in mind for what you want it to look like? Or do you just have an overall feel for, like, you want it to be modern, or you need it to be sleek, or because a lot of people are visual, and so they have something in their brain, but they just don't know how to design it to make that a reality.
I I would suppose, I haven't given this too much thought, but I would suppose we would want the app to at least thematically, resemble. I mean, this is the only online asset for SpiesInDC, no pun intended. So I suppose I would want it to at least loosely resemble this thematically, right? Like see how there's like this old school, you know, manila yellowed piece of paper type theme, dark tones. We got these like request clearance buttons, like things like that.
Okay. And I know we've talked about the background a little bit of how your community is going to receive this and instructions to do that. Are you anticipating them just scanning a QR code, going directly to this site? Do they have to press anything? Do you want the audio to start automatically? Do you want them to have to press a button to go to the audio? What were your thought processes about that?
So incidentally, each package does include a QR code because what it does is it points the it points to. I'm in a new Chrome profile, so I don't have history here. I'm pretty sure this is correct. So it points to a different document that is embedded in the website, and basically you receive the papers for the particular historical event. And coincidentally, I pulled up the long telegram, and this is the actual long telegram that George Kennan sent, but a reproduction, obviously. But this is as it looked back in 1946. So if you want to learn more about, in this case, George Kennan, the gentleman who wrote the long telegram, then you would scan the code, and it would, in that particular package, it would take you to this page. So for the sixth and final package, you would scan the QR code and you would wind up at probably something like numbers.spiesindc.com. As far as the playback goes, no, I would definitely not want it to autoplay because who knows, where they're doing this, might be late at night or, whatever.
Yeah.
So probably, press a button, press a play button, and it would start the playback process.
Okay. I want to drill down on that just to make sure I understand. You're not even wanting users to log into the app to
No,
create any kind of profile? Okay.
not at present, no.
Okay. And then just to follow up with that, do you want the ability to track how many people actually press the play button to make sure that it's worthwhile to you?
Actually, that's a very good point and something I hadn't considered. I think so. Yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
Okay. Okay. And then if we're not going to have the user log in, you're okay with just like generic, they clicked this button and it just tracks like how many clicks it is, but it doesn't have any data associated with that user?
I don't think so. So click count, um, maybe a timestamp attached to it. Maybe
Okay.
create a chart over time just to see how popular this is. I send out the envelopes in batches.
Okay.
I'm not going to the post office every day. I send them out on Mondays. So now, I mean, subscribers are all over the United States. So when they receive those envelopes can and do vary, but
Mhm.
it might be interesting to see a little bit of information about whether they're even going in the first place, and if so, are they pressing play?
Okay. Great. Yeah, what's great about Adalo is some of these things are just built in for you. So anytime you create a record, you're going to get an automatic timestamp of created. So that's not an extra step that you have to do. Okay. Um, yeah, I think this is something that's not going to be overly difficult to create. One of my questions about the audio is that something that you are going to create, or is that something that you want Adalo to create for you, or are we gonna, how would you want to create that?
So I don't think that my voice is sufficiently secret agenty. So I
That
would,
sounds like what a secret agent would say, but continue.
yeah. So I won't be replacing, I won't be the James Bond replacement in the next movie, I've been told. So there's a service called 11 Labs, and I have this tab open that will take text. It's an AI tool. It'll take text and it'll convert it to speech. It'll convert it to audio. So I created a 11 Labs account the other day, and if I type in just some random letters here, 10, 5, 12, 15, 4, for example, and I press generate speech.
5, 7, 9, 10, 5, 12, 15, 4.
Right, that seems a little fast to me. This is already dragged down to slow. Let's see if
Jason,
we,
if you don't mind turning your volume up just a little bit so we can hear
oh,
that.
yes. I'm gonna turn it way up here. I'll regenerate speech.
5, 7, 9, 10, 5, 12, 15, 4.
Perfect.
Still
It's
not
fast.
sufficiently spy-like, but nonetheless, I think everybody gets the idea here. Maybe we could slow down the playback or something.
Um,
That's the
this
idea.
brings me to a good point. Once you have this file, how are we going to get that file to Adalo? Where is that file going to live to like upload that for the audio?
I, in the spirit of keeping things as simple as possible, my hope is that we could upload it into Adalo,
Okay.
because there's like this download button here, and if I click it, there we go. We have that file.
Okay.
That
So I'm going to
we,
say that you'll be responsible for uploading that, and then once it's there, we don't have to do anything else. You'll have it
no,
there. Okay.
that'll be once I figure out the number to letter mapping,
Okay.
create the message. That'll be the stable message, from I suppose from here on out. That'll it won't change, is what I'm saying. That'll be the audio file.
Okay. Okay. Great. I think I have an understanding of how you want this. And then typically, and we're building this on the fly, and we know it won't take very long. But do you have a deadline that you want to get this out into the world by? Um,
So in this particular case, I would want to start modifying the package number 6 probably about close to 30 days from now.
okay.
3 weeks to 30 days. So definitely, I think in the case of this particular app, probably plenty of time. And I'm also a very much a proponent of perfect being the enemy of done. One of the things I love about Adalo is I can make the basic contours of an app, a V1, if you will, push it out, and then continue tweaking it and in an extremely easy way, deploy new versions of it.
Yeah, and I apologize for all the questions, but I try to ask as many questions and drill down as far as I can because when I'm building the app and you're not available, I want to just be able to fly through
Yeah,
and make sure that I've got everything done. If this were a traditional um, client where I was going to build this for you, we would even have a scope sheet that you would go through, and it feels like a lot of questions, and it is, and it's done that way on purpose so that we can make sure we deliver exactly what you're looking for and you can track our milestones and our progress. And then if you need something else, we can adjust that as we go.
yeah, that's a great point. Maybe we could go through that on a future video where we'll build like a CRUD app with a database, with notifications and all of that kind of stuff. That would be pretty fun.
Jason, you might explain what a CRUD app is because I don't want people to think we're making terrible apps here.
Good point. CRUD, create, retrieve, update, delete. So when you build a typical B2B app, most of them, when it boils right down to it, are what are referred to as CRUD apps. They are apps that create data, retrieve data, both in terms of lists and detail screens. They update data, either maybe a specific record, or they bulk update records. And then finally, delete. Sometimes you have to delete data. And a simple way to refer to that is as a CRUD app.
Excellent. And then one thing I'm just thinking of, and you can tell we don't rehearse this very often, is
At
after we
all.
get this at all, after we get this number station built, I think for the viewers' sake, because they've endured us bantering back and forth and creating, we could clone your app, and then with that number, with the second number station app, put a coupon code for them for $1 for a certain percentage off, for a few months, and then they can watch the second video and have access to that and be able to
That sounds
just
pretty
log in
cool.
with that.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
So where do we go from here?
Well, let's jump into the builder. That's one thing I always just love to do. Um, if you've never created a new app and you already have some, if you click that drop down in the very middle of our canvas, you'll see the new option to create a new app at the
Yeah,
very bottom.
I am logged into the wrong account. This is, give me one moment. Doing this all on the fly, viewers, so bear with me.
And for the viewers at home, the reason he might be logged into the wrong account is not only do we work for Adalo, but we also build personal apps on Adalo. And so
Yes,
bouncing back and forth is a fun, and it has a lot of benefits too, because if there's any kind of bug that rarely happens, but we are a technology company, they do come up. I notice it on my personal apps very quickly, and then alert the team, and we get that taken care of as quickly as possible. So it's a great product. We not only work for it, but gosh, I use it every day.
I do as well. One of the very first things that I built, here we go. Now we're back in business. One of the very first things I built when I joined Adalo was a radio app. And it's kind of a silly, it's actually right here. And it's kind of a silly thing. I used AI to make a fake radio station, if you will, logo. And I add the URL, the streaming URLs of radio stations that I regularly listen to. And what's cool about that is because you're adding the origin stream URL, you bypass all of the bumper ads that third-party radio services add. So you can go, sometimes the radio station does it, adds an ad, which is fine. But
Mhm.
I find it to be a very easy and convenient way to listen to the stations that I listen to, and I have them all categorized and in a list. And I use this app, I think, every single day.
Yeah. But then, of course, he has the famous Christmas tree app, which
Oh,
about drove his wife crazy during Christmas because people
yes.
could turn off and on. That's a whole nother story and video.
Yeah. The tree was only turned on 13,414 times over about a week, give or take. And we would sit here at night watching Rudolph or something with the kids, and the Christmas tree would be turning on and off hundreds of times sometimes at night, which was pretty funny. We're gonna go even bigger next year, everybody. So stay tuned with that. Anyway, back to what Kyle said. We click on the middle drop down and we press create new app.
And if you're learning Adalo for the first time, I'm going to recommend you click mobile only. And the reason I say that is Adalo allows you to create responsive apps, and that's fantastic. But it is like building three different apps at one time, one for mobile, one for tablet, and one for desktop. It's a process that if you did on any platform would just take time. It's the same thing with Adalo. So for this particular app, Jason just wants us to be quick and get it to people. And most of the time, people will scan the QR code with their phone. So they're going to be on their phone. So the mobile app would suffice here.
Makes sense.
And then let's just start with a blank template first, because we kind of already got a feel and a design in our mind that we want to do. And then if you were creating an app and connecting to a different data source and things like that, you could do that under advanced options. Again, if you're learning Adalo for the first time, creating with a fresh new database is the best way to just start and learn and play around. So let's click done there and then click next. And we need to name your app. That's going to be super important. One of the things you want to make sure when you're naming your app is that you have the name that you actually want to use when you share it to people. Because when you share this link to people outside of Adalo, it's going to have an Adalo subdomain unless you do a custom domain, which Jason's going to go on talk about in the next video. But that Adalo subdomain will be the subdomain of Adalo slash and whatever your name of your station is. So if you share your app with a bunch of people and then go and change the name after 2 weeks, they're not going to be able to open their app because it's going to look for whatever the previous name was in that URL. So that's just a fun trick that I've experienced, and I thought I'd broke an app, and it was just because I had the wrong name and the wrong URL. I was referencing the wrong link. And then the users of your app, I think the one you would want to collect is existing customers or community, because this is going to the people in your mailing. The primary color and secondary color, that can be whatever you want. That's easily changed once you're started building the app.
One thing we could do for the colors is go over to the website and a little trick in the Chrome inspector. I believe this is the case in Chrome. I know it's in Firefox as well. If we hit inspect, and then, of course, I won't be able to find this since we're doing this live, but
I have another trick too, Jason, if you get that color.
yeah, where is the little eyedropper? Do you remember?
So the one thing that I always use is if you're on a Mac, if you go pull down and search, you can search color, digital color meter, and I can hover my mouse over anything and it will
Oh,
give me the
wow.
RGB colors for whatever I'm doing. And I just have to remember those numbers and I can type those in directly into Adalo.
Let me do that one more time. Digital color meter.
And wherever your mouse is, you'll notice that the numbers will start changing. And
So
that's what
44, 44, 46, 58.
and you would type those in the RGB. Or I guess
Oh,
that works
that's
too.
the hex. I see.
Yeah.
58.
And
And
then
click out
you
of
can pick it.
here.
And it's ironic that we're doing this for a number station where we have to remember numbers.
Yeah. And I'll do, you know what? I'll do digital color meter again because I actually cannot remember. Well, that's interesting. Look how it's not seeing the.
It is interesting, but however, I don't know if it's because of how the website is set up, or like if you were to take a screenshot of that, you would be able to get that color. How interesting.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I don't know what it's seeing. Looks like
Hmm.
it's just seeing the background.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. No, gosh, it's not even quite doing that. Let's go ahead and do that. 146, 147, 150.
I had to learn this trick because I don't always see colors very well. And so if I want to get a color exactly right, I would ask someone, what's your color palette, or do you have a media kit? So I can make sure and get that
Yeah,
exactly how you want it to look.
did not know that. And I will
Click create.
remember which one. It's got to be this one, I suppose. I'll hit create. And there we
And
are.
then one thing that you mentioned that you don't want anyone to log in, and it's essentially going to be a one screen app. One thing you can do right away is if you zoom in on the home screen at the top, you'll notice the gray box has the home icon above it. If you'll click on that, we're going to change to have it to be the home screen and the welcome screen by pressing the pencil on the left-hand side. There you go. And navigation type, you'll click down that and you'll be on the welcome screen. And so now you've got it set up where no one has to log in. And when people go to the URL that you'll share with them, they'll come to this screen.
Okay, great. I like that. Now, can I delete this screen altogether now? Is that possible?
Yeah, you can delete those screens. It's going to be a similar process. If you click on the name and then the three dots at the right-hand side, and just tap delete. And you should have one more screen. You should have actually two more. You'll have a sign up screen and a welcome screen
click,
or login screen.
delete, click, and delete. And then I'll
Which
go ahead and zoom into this one.
this may not seem like a big deal, but not having those screens means there's less data to load for the app when you're visiting the site. So just a reminder for everyone, sometimes people will create screens just to like test builds on. If you don't need that screen, just delete it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't considered that. We are coming up on the top of the hour, so perhaps this is a good place to stop. However, why don't we, just for kicks, we have 2 minutes left, just to show the preview function of Adalo, drag out maybe a label or maybe add SpiesInDC up here.
Yeah.
I've always wondered, what is this placeholder image? Is that in the title, I suppose?
That is in the title. And that's where, if you've ever used our image component, it's going to feel similar to that. You can upload directly to that, which is where if you have your SpiesInDC logo handy, you could type that and then
we'll just put some text in there for now. You can change the font
color. Mm-hmm.
I use PT Mono. I think that's the name of it. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, you'll have access to all the Google font libraries. And one thing, Jason, if you go back to the title of the nav bar, so you're in headings there, so keep that in mind. And then click title where you were editing that. And if you click on the formatting button, and then if you click that PT Mono, you can switch between the heading font and the body font there back and forth. Some people don't realize that, but if you have those are two global fonts that you can use. Right now, that's the only two fonts you can use in the app.
How cool is that? So I just made the font a little bit larger, and then kind of to bring this one to an end, what I like to do, and I suppose everybody likes to do when building an app in Adalo, is if you click this View App button, we can preview the app, right? So not much to it yet. We'll change that in the next video, but if I click Preview, you get this really cool preview screen, right? And again, we don't really have anything here. I think we'll get rid of this, although maybe we'll add like an about or something like that, right? But nonetheless, super simple way to see your changes in a format that the of your app is gonna wind up seeing. So, Kyle, any parting comments before we end this session? And we'll jump on tomorrow or maybe Monday and record part 2 for everybody.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think we're in a great place to launch and start building.
All right, very exciting. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you the next time.